obviously have a conversation backstage. Winning your court case or winning elements of it yesterday. What's your sort of thoughts and feelings about what City have gone through, the victory against the Premier League, and the associated party transaction rules continuation from now?
I think City proved what they wanted to prove. That the latest rules that they brought in were unlawful, and City warned the Premier League when they were bringing them in. Said, look, if you bring these rules in, we think they're unlawful. We'll take you to arbitration. We'll sue you. The Premier League clubs voted them in. City sued them, and it's been found that these latest rules are actually unlawful. So they're obviously right now not active because they need to go away and redo it. Great for City as well, because two of our sponsors that had previously been rejected for being over fair market value, we've got another chance to get these through. So for the, not that affects us as fans really, but the club can try again to get these sponsors through. So that's a huge win, because reportedly the Etihad deal is absolutely ginormous. So if they can get that through, that'd be great for them. But yeah, listen, I think it's embarrassing for the Premier League. You know, it wasn't that long ago that they lost quite a huge controversial case to Leicester City. They lost that, pretty poor, embarrassing. Now they've just lost another case. They found to have rules in the rule book that are unlawful, which that's not a great look. You know what I mean? If you're the sort of leader, yeah, of a competition, you want to make sure that the rules in your competition abide by English law. That's not the case in this on this situation. They've been found to be unlawful. So guess what? They've got to be removed. I think some of the media overplay it. I thought they overplayed it initially when everyone kept on saying that it's the end of football if City win the case. Never thought that was the truth anyway. But I think City will be happy. I think City will be very happy with the outcome. They clearly are very happy with the outcome. The Premier League, I think, are happy that they found that the APT itself is going to stay. Which, you know, I don't really think City have a major issue with that, because if they did have a major issue with that, they would have challenged it in 2021. They've not challenged it in 2021. They challenged these latest rules, or the latest rules that have now been removed. So I think this is why it's kind of weird, because City are saying it's a win, but the Premier League are saying it's a win. I think the Premier League are just happy that the full thing has not been removed, and City are happy that they've got a second chance.
And I think that's fair. I think I get what Nobbin said yesterday. In the eyes of the law, technically speaking, if I sue you today, LB, on 25 counts and I win just one of them, officially I've won, because I've won at least one of the counts against you. I think in reality, you could argue, well, you won more than me because you won 25 versus 1. But I get how things are written in law. I agree. I think it's right that City have unearthed elements of the rules, because it isn't the complete associated party transaction rule. It's elements of it that are unlawful. So I actually think it's a good thing for football that has been unearthed, that has been challenged, and that will be rectified. Because if it isn't, then one day that could affect your club if it's unlawful. So we should be looking for the rules that we're all engaging in to be lawful and above board. I also think what's great for the Premier League, I totally agree with you. And we were talking backstage about Stefan Borsten, who always gets called overly biased towards City. I don't think that he is. Doesn't mean I agree with everything that he says, but he has been so down the middle with this. He said that there's been some big wins in this for City and some really big wins for the Premier League, in the sense of, I think the associated party transactions, PSR, FFP as a general rule needs to be in place. But as I think me and you have spoken about many times, LB, there needs to be some amendments to it. But sometimes clubs need protecting from themselves. I mean, I still think there are football fans that believe that next week Newcastle are going to go and sponsor their grass £4 billion a year. They're not. That isn't what this case was ever about. So I actually think when you read the full articles, you read the full transcripts, and you listen to experts break it down, I think it's a good result for Man City. I think the Premier League walk away from it relatively happy. There'll be some adjustments to the rules. And I think that what I'd like to see now is the Premier League clubs move on from it, if I'm being honest, wipe their mouths, and let's get back towards making, focus on the football side of things. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, that is right. But the problem is the Premier League look like they're going to go down the same road again. The Premier League are now reporting that they want a new vote on new rules in the next 10 days. And City is saying already, whoa, the reason that you did this mistake in the first place is because you rushed these rules through. Take your time, chill. City have already warned. The case literally got released yesterday. City have already warned today, through our legal counsel, that they're more than prepared to go to court again if you put in rules again that are unlawful. The Premier League want to rush through these rules in the next 10 days. I mean, it's just ridiculous. They need to take the time, come up with a set of rules that they're happy with, that abides by the law of the land, Go to the club, say, right, lads, these are the new rules that we want to put in. Does anyone have any problems? A couple of clubs like say we don't like them. So you'll take their concerns, you'll go back to your lawyers and say, this club says it's not lawful. What do you reckon? They say, well, yeah, actually, they've got a point. Let's amend it. But this is where we got into a situation. 5 days after Newcastle, were bought in 2021, the Premier League CEO emailed the Premier League saying we need to get these rules in the next 4 days. That's on an email in the document. They rushed things through, and that's why they got themselves in this mess in the first place. Because they didn't take the time, and they look like they might be wanting to do the same thing again. So if they want to do the same thing again, City have already said we'll go court again. You know what I mean? We'll do it again. So chill.
Is there not a fine balance in that, Dan? In the sense of you don't want to rush the rules through for them to be unlawful, but at the same time, if they feel that some clubs may put together, because obviously the tribunal has said there is a reason and a need for the associated party rules. It can't just be that Ineos sponsor Man United, I don't know, £1 billion a year. They're like, that just can't happen because it's not fair, because on a competitive level, etc., etc. Is it? You don't want to rush the laws through because you might make them unlawful. But if they take 6 months to get worded in the correct way and done in the right way, you may see a number of teams then behave in a way that makes the league uncompetitive, where teams are being sponsored ridiculous amounts of money that could lead to issues later on down the line. It feels like there's a fine margin here between being unlawful, but also trying to stop the horse before it bolts.
100%. I think that's why they want to get it done as quickly as possible. And to be honest with you, I actually do as well. Now, I'm with LB. I think the incompetence they've shown at times here, the Premier League, is looking quite embarrassing. At the same time, I don't think anybody has actually won this. I saw yesterday people say City have won this, and I saw titles suggesting that City have won this. And that's just confused people into thinking that perhaps they've got away with 115, or that they've got away with this or got away with that. Actually, they haven't got away with anything. They've just suggested that actually this law doesn't really look like it's written properly and doesn't make sense. Can you take a look at it again? And I think from what I'm hearing and what I'm understanding over the last 24 hours, and I must admit, even LB, I had to speak to him and say, bro, what the hell is going on here? This is so confusing. And to try and put it in simple terms, like, I don't mind admitting that I'm pretty thick when it comes to anything to do with numbers, anything to do with finances. I got into this game because I could actually be into talking about football opinions, not talking about PSR and finance. I would have gone and joined a finance podcast if I would have thought I was good enough for that. But I have to say that in the last 24 hours, it's been confusing as hell. And from what I can make sense of it is City wanted to do something. Premier League said you can't. City have said, well, we think you can. We'll take you to court for it. And they said, actually, yeah, you probably can. Better change that law. That's basically what I can make out from it. Now, if I've got that wrong, then please tell me. But that's basically what it sounds like it is. So I don't see that anybody's massively won or lost here, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, you're spot on. And people like Stefan Borsum, there's a guy called Jan, his surname I can't pronounce. Again, I read their threads, and they kind of boiled it down into layman terms. And there's a lot of very good independent people out there who I think have been very unbiased about this. And you can tell that Stefan Borson's been unbiased. Some people think some City fans have called him a traitor today. Other people are saying that he's a shrill and he's paid off by City. But I don't think he's either of those things. He's honest. He'll go, this is really good for City. And then somebody said, oh, yeah, I think some City fan responded saying, yeah, we smashed them, didn't we? And he sort of replied with, no, not really. They won on most. They won the arguments in most other areas. They're keeping the rules they want in place. There's some minor amendments. And I think that's the issue here, as you say, when it's sort of being, even both statements from the Premier League and from Man City, I think have helped lead to that confusion, because City's opening statement was, we have proven that the ATP law is unlawful. But they haven't. They've proven that elements of the law are unlawful. But then the Premier League has kind of made it sound like, yeah, there's some minor little issues and not much we did wrong. Everything else is okay. Well, no, you've implemented elements of a rule that are unlawful. I do agree with you on that. When actually, I think it's a good result for all involved. And what's really interesting is that there isn't a single legal person in the world that I've seen state that this could impact 115 in any way, positively or negatively. But yet, I see that getting spun by journalists. Oh, what does this mean for the 115? Does it mean they'll get off? Does it mean they'll be found guilty? Every legal expert that I've listened to has said there's absolutely no correlation. They're not the same thing. I then see, I had people DM me today. Terry, when you're doing a video about Arsenal cheating, oh, when did Arsenal cheat? Well, they've got £200 million of shareholder loans. That's now against the rules. What,
It's
what,
blown
what,
up everything so mad.
that's
And
not
this is
cheating.
what I
I'm
mean.
sitting there going, where have you got this nonsense from that Arsenal have cheated? It's
But people are
crazy.
saying now, like, oh, Arsenal were the ones that snitched on Manchester City, and that's going to screw them. They're going to be absolutely muddied for the next 3 years now. And I'm like, oh, are we? Let's see this evidence there. And I'm looking at it thinking, yeah, I think we'll be all right. Jesus, it's unbelievable. Like, people just want to blow it up. And the mainstream media don't help. You know, it's like listening to the news, isn't it? Everything's doom and gloom. And they do that in the sport industry as well. It's like, bang,
Yeah.
everyone's in trouble. Arsenal are in the mud. They're going to be in the red. Brighton, forget them. They won't be doing what they're doing the way they're run. Everyone thinks they're run well. No, they're not. And actually, it's all been blown out of proportion. Manchester City just said, from what I can hear, oh, can't we do that? Can you actually check it? Yeah, it turns out we can, mate. You better change that law. Right, let's move on to the weekend games. That's basically what happened. But we've made a massive deal of this thing for 24 hours and everything's going up. And I just think, wow, this is extreme when really not much has happened.
Yeah. I would say when it comes to the media outlets, any journalist or any newspaper or any news outlet that uses the term net spend ever, disregard everything they say about the legal and financial side of football, because net spend isn't real. And if you say that it is, then you're lying to your public. Genuinely, there isn't. It's not. No one that's an expert in these industries uses it, talks about it, references it ever. It's just not a done thing. So that's my personal general rule. As soon as I see Sky say net spend, I'm like, I ain't listening to nothing to do with you mugs. When it comes to, I'll give you an example. This summer, in terms of net spend, Mbappe was free, but he actually cost near £300 million. So I've seen some Real Madrid fans online moaning why they didn't spend more money this summer because their net spend was low. Why is that? It's because the media keep telling people net spend real. Fucking ridiculous. But no, as I say, I think it's a good win for City. I think what City have won is very good. I think it's great they've done it. And I do agree with City going after damages as well, because if they've lost out money, yes, they might be able to put those sponsors in place now. But you could, people always say it's okay if you lose money, you can always earn more. I always think, yeah, you can always earn more, but you're never going to get that lost money back. It's impossible, right? So they have to sue for damages now because it's unlawful what they've done.
And other clubs apparently, because they reckon that there's been other clubs that have had rejections. So if other clubs that have had, because it's not just City who have related, everyone just thinks it's City who's got related. Other clubs have related party transactions, and they reckon other clubs now, because of this, could also look at suing the Premier League. So I don't know how the Premier League deal with that. Maybe we'll find out in due course. But yeah, you're right. If City have lost money due to a law that was unlawful, then they're more than entitled to claim damages if they can prove a loss.
Pauline here says Terry now thinks he knows better than anybody. No, I don't. See, this is the irony in this. I haven't said that net spend doesn't exist because I know. The experts have said it's not how clubs manage their finances. Therefore, I don't believe in it. If a cardiologist tells you what's good and bad for your heart, I'm going to believe him over a bricklayer. Right? So when an expert says net spend isn't real, I don't care what a sports presenter on Sky says or what the Sun newspaper says. I'm going with the expert. It's not about me. It's about the opinion of an expert, not my personal opinion, my friend. Equally, by the way, I wouldn't take advice from a cardiologist about how to build a brick wall. I'd go to the bricklayer. Do you know what I'm saying? Jesus Christ. It's not my opinion. It's facts. But moving on from that,